And so our keynote speaker today is a personal hero of mine. He's voice acted in Street Fighter. He's been Shao Kahn from Mortal Kombat, and he's coming up in Destiny 2 as the Iron Guard. We're going to be fighting him. And here's Bob Carter.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Very nice to meet you. Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much, All American Stream Team. Thank you very much, Columbus State University, for hosting us here. Thank you, CIMFest. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And, of course, thank you, GGDA. My name is Bob Carter, also known as Balrog in Street Fighter. Say goodnight, chump! Or I guess I should say, it's time to get paid. I'm also the voice of Baraka and Shao Kahn for Mortal Kombat. You suck. Yes, you've heard that. You've heard that plenty of times. The voice of Odin in Smite, right? Unleash Ragnarok! And I'm very happy to say now that I'm the Iron Guard in Destiny 2, which comes out this September. Now, that is something that I'm particularly proud of because I didn't have to fly to New York. I didn't have to fly to LA. I recorded that in Atlanta, right off of Freedom Parkway, with Wabi Sabi Studios, which is coming up in one of our next meetups. I want to say it's going to be live streamed, in fact, through the Georgia Game Developers Association. And it's actually through the Georgia Game Developers Association that I ended up making that connection to be able to record it. So there is a lot of activity happening right here in the state of Georgia that is perfect for you guys. So we're going to talk about that today. In fact, we're going to talk about a lot of different things. I'm going to talk about voice acting, obviously, because that's something I've been doing for 20-something years now. It's crazy how time flies, and a lot of you guys aren't even 20-something yet. So when it comes to voiceover, right, I've been doing that since, believe it or not, 1992, because I went to school at Georgia State University, got involved with college radio, Album 88. Anybody here involved with any kind of media here on campus? I would expect most of you are involved in some way in media here on campus. Nothing? Nobody's playing video games? Yes, right? That's media, right? Get involved with what's available around you, all right? The different groups. This group that brought you here, CIMFest, all right? There's going to be a lot of networking. Make friends with everybody because as you pursue your endeavors abroad, your connections that you make in college, your connections that you make through different organizations, that's what's going to help you find work. And that's very, very important. I mean, that's why you're in school after all, is to help you make a career for yourselves. So as you gain your various game certificates, as you gain your certifications and things like that, don't just focus on the paper. Focus on the other people around you who you're going to make these relationships with that will hopefully last for years, for decades. Okay? Now, with regards to voiceover, how many people here have fun voices that you love to do, that you love to make? Raise your hands high. Of course, we all do, right? Well, you can actually get paid for those voices. If that's something that you want to do, I absolutely want you to follow up with me after this. Okay? I would love to help you become a voice actor. I'd love to be a resource for you so that way you can bring those creations to life. The things that are firing off your imagination today, that's what's going to fire off your career, your success in your career tomorrow. Your imagination, your creativity, I want you to focus on that because right now, the world is changing. Automation is about to take over everything, right? I mean, in the next 10 to 15 years, all vehicles are going to be automated. In the next 10 to 15 years, there are a lot of businesses, entire industries, jobs that are going to be wiped out. And so for all those things that are going to be replaced by robots, that are going to become automated, the thing that's not going to be replaced by robots, the thing that's not going to be replaced by automation, are the things that drive creativity, imagination. They can't replace the human brain, right? So your creativity is essential to your success. Your creativity, the thing that drives you, your passions, that's essential to what's going to help you personally and professionally. Because the world will need more artists. The world will need more creatives. Now, my wife and I own a studio, the neighborhood studio that we opened up in Atlanta, where we help aspiring creatives become working creatives. We love to play. We all love to play. But as we grow up, we tend to get told be quiet, sit here, talk in a certain way, talk in a certain particular manner, focus on this career, focus on this business, focus on this path to success. Well, life throws all kinds of twists and turns at you, so you've got to be able to roll with that. Sometimes we forget how to play. I want to remind you guys, don't forget how to play. In fact, I want you to play more. It is by playing that we learn. I mean, we're all built like that. We're all programmed for that, right? When you've got puppies and kittens at home, they learn the right way to do things by playing. As people, we learn the right way to do things by playing, right? You can sit in a class all day long, write down equations, write down formulas, but until you actually apply those things, they don't really make sense to you, or it won't stick in your memory. However, if you're playing, if you're making something, if you're building something and you're blowing stuff up, or you're making mistakes, or you're trying to get from point A to point B in a quest or in some game, after you've done that a while, because you have played, you learn it. Well, that same thing matters for you in life. You've got to play. So you've got to play with, again, your groups, like this group of guys right here, you four. You guys are hanging out. You're probably, after this, you're going to, I don't know, go get some food, talk about what happened today, but somehow you're going to end up on somebody's couch later on playing games. Am I right? Right. Everybody here, you've got different groups of people that you hang out with, that you play with. That's a good thing. Remember, though, the groups of people that you're socializing with, you want to make sure that you're helping each other succeed professionally as well. Okay? Does that make sense? All right, good. I want this to be interactive. Even the people that are watching on stream, I want this to be interactive. So we're going to take Q&A today, but there are certain notes that I want to make sure that I talk about, because I know my ADD is going to kick in. All right, so we're going to talk about the future today. We're going to talk about your future today, and we're going to talk about your present today, and making sure that you make the most of your present so it will affect your future tomorrow. Now, I got into voiceover because I played back in college. I did college radio, but I didn't just do the music that was normally being played. I, of course, loved my video games. I loved movies, and I loved them so much that I wanted to recreate them. So I recreated the sounds using sound effects. My buddies and I, we made fake movie trailers. We made our own fake video game trailers, and all those sound effects and things like that I did. That's what led me to my path to become a voice actor. That's what led me to eventually doing improv comedy, making connections, making friends with the same guys that did improv comedy, who also happened to work at Funimation Studios in Fort Worth and in Dallas, Texas. So if you know, I don't know, Dragon Ball Z, Full Metal Alchemist, anybody here know anime? Anybody here watch anime? Right. Those same anime actors also got involved with video games. Okay? So the connections that you make, the connections that I made playing, doing improv comedy, playing video games, hanging out with my friends, just socializing, those things had an impact that led me to my success. Those same things are going to lead you to your success, right? Now, you've got to have some kind of level of competency, which is why you're going to school. That's why you're studying. It's why you're actually here at CIMFest, right? You're doing the things that you need to do to kind of earn a career for yourself, or maybe find your way. And that's a good thing. The people here at GGDA, the people at CIMFest, the people in the All-American Stream Team, they're going to be able to help you. And we want to help you. Now, in terms of what I see for the future that you might want to think about in terms of trying to figure out your own future, I want you to focus on virtual reality and augmented reality. So just like automation is going to disrupt the trucking industry, for instance, and we're talking about a lot of jobs that are going to get completely transformed and wiped out in the next 15 years. Virtual reality is going to transform the way that we look at movies. Right now, who here has seen Spider-Man Homecoming? Yeah. Okay. Who here is planning on going to the movies in the next month or so? Everybody. Who here has gone to the movies or watched movies in the past year? Everybody. Right. So the way that we watch TV, the way that we watch movies, the way that we play video games, believe it or not, that's about to transform in the next 5 to 10 years. Think about this. Do you remember what it was like hanging out with your grandparents, watching black and white television, watching black and white movies? Some people remember black and white TV. Some people remember black and white movies. You guys are now about to be in your grandparents' generation, where we go to the movies and we watch it on a two-dimensional screen. Because what's happening is film, television, media is now beginning to film in 360 degrees. So now imagine 15 years from now going into your viewing room where you're going to have some kind of a massive subwoofer in the center of the room that's going to have projectors that will shine on all four walls. Imagine sitting or even standing in the room and seeing the action all around you. And then, of course, turning around and being immersed in that film. Imagine that experience. And then think about, well, back in my day, we sat in a chair and we watched TV and we watched the movie on the wall on the big screen, right? On the big screen. Or even back in my day, we had to get up and turn the channel. No, it's all going to be voice command and it's all going to be intuitive. But more than that, that's again, virtual reality. However, that still limits us. Now imagine augmented reality. Because in virtual reality, okay, let's say you've got some awesome systems, but you don't want to break the glass table or you don't want to knock over the lamp or things like that are in your room. Now imagine augmented reality where Pokemon Go just kind of like helped make this insane craze last year. That's just the beginning, right? Now you've got all these different zombie, ghost, supernatural type games that we can play where you look through your smartphone viewer and you can see supernatural entities in any room, anywhere you go. So imagine you apply that now to Star Wars, where when you walk past somebody, you know, your phone might buzz, and then when you pull it out, it turns out maybe you're a Jedi, maybe you're the Sith, but it turns out that other person is a Jedi, or they're the Sith. Either way, they're going to challenge you. You're going to pull out your phone, which will be your lightsaber, which will have its own sound effects, which will have its own visuals that can flash around on the screen. And then if it's attached to your Google glasses or whatever glasses that are coming out that are going to have that visual image on there, you're now playing, but in the real world. You guys can picture that, right? Everybody here can picture that. Now, whatever your favorite genre is, whether it's sci-fi, whether it's fantasy, whether it's horror, whether it's sports, it's going to happen. Anybody here that likes to work out or something like that, you're going to walk around and then somebody's going to challenge you, right? Where your phone will buzz or something like that. It's like it's an ongoing game. The interesting thing is you can now apply this to your day-to-day life. What are the things that you do during the day? So apply whatever that augmented reality is to what you do on a daily basis. That's the future. That's a niche that needs to be filled. That's a job that you can actually fill right now before anybody else is a part of it. So think about what you can do right now, what you enjoy doing right now that you can apply in the next 10 years. Everybody here has an imagination. Everybody here has a fantastic imagination. You just have to use that imagination and you have to picture yourself moving forward in the future. Josh, you mentioned to me that you have a game certification, right? And you love playing video games. Now imagine if you could play a video game where you are walking around and then it turns out that you've been playing your game so much that you become the Shao Kahn of that game. How cool would that be to walk around on campus and then suddenly have, let's say, Rod, who happens to walk up because he wants to challenge you, right? Now, you guys are in this normal reality, but at the same time, you're in this augmented reality where you can suddenly throw fireballs at each other, or you can whip around some kind of a kick based on the gyro motion sensor that's in your phone. And when you do it, it flips off some kind of a hurricane kick at each other. Now, to everybody that's not wearing those glasses, you're going to look hilarious. But to everybody that is wearing those glasses, it's going to look super cool, right? Because you just threw this tornado hurricane kick that just flies out at them. But maybe you block it. And again, maybe you create some kind of a massive earth wall that looks awesome in this Google Glass or whatever kind of augmented reality that you guys are playing in. That's a cool game, right? Now, to anybody that doesn't have the glasses or anybody that doesn't have the watch or that doesn't have the smartphone, they're going to let you look at you like you're crazy. But that's the next big thing. It's going to be awesome, and I can't wait to see that, right? I can't wait for you guys to develop that. I can't wait for you to build that. So everybody in this room, think about that. Move forward because that is the future. I also can't wait for you to share that with everybody that you meet here today and within GGDA over the next several months and years, because they are the future as well. And they're going to learn from you. And just like I got my job being the Iron Guard in Destiny 2, which comes out this September, that's right. Just like I got that job by meeting somebody through the Georgia Game Developers Association, just again by making that connection, that random connection at a different meetup, you're going to make a random connection with somebody here in your network that's going to lead to a phenomenal game breaker. It's going to be amazing. You're going to change the industry. But now we also have to think about changing the industry in education, right? Using augmented reality. What if, and we're going to make history real, because sometimes history can be boring. However, current events are never boring, are they? Current events are crazy, especially right now. Politically, doesn't matter which side you're on. Things are crazy. Now, back in the day, history was crazy. What if when you walk through, let's say when you walk through the Colosseum in Rome, right? They've got the glasses already. They've got this game that they've got a tour that they've developed where you can put on certain glasses, and as you walk through the Colosseum, you see it as it was back then. And you can see when they would fill up the Colosseum with water so that they could have naval battles, and you can see when they have gladiators fighting. What if we could do that here, now? Not in Italy, but right here, where you could see what happened during the American Revolution. What if you could play some kind of a cool game, almost like Star Wars Battlefronts, but do that right here, right now with the American Revolution, or with the Civil War, right? Or with the French and Indian War, or even before that with different Native Americans when you had various tribes and everything that happened. Or what if you could see the conquistadors when they came through? So imagine having those glasses on and seeing that history repeat itself, but vividly, right? In 3 dimensions with different characters that are running around, and you can literally see that. You guys are the ones that are going to animate that. You're the ones that are going to develop that. That's the future. That's you. That's your present. Nobody's done that yet. You're going to do that through the apps that you develop, through the animation that you create. That's what you guys are going to school for. That's what you're going to do. So picture that. And if it's not there yet, well, congratulations, because you now have a jump start on everybody else. Make sense? Good. What about, that's education. Okay. Oh, let's talk about science as well. We can apply that through physics, right? Where you can have any kind of random chemistry experiment, right? Where you can visually see what's going to happen, where you can visually mix what's going to happen. And then if it blows up, well, congratulations, you're not really hurting anybody. But what if we apply that to, let's say, genetics? You know, like the stuff that's coming out now with CRISPRs. Anybody here familiar with CRISPRs and where you're learning that in science? Okay, a few of you, right? So CRISPRs, C-R-I-S-P-R, look it up later. CRISPRs make it very easy to modify DNA. Now, what if you developed a game that had the basics of CRISPRs, where you could take that and then you could add, let's say, wings to a cat, or let's say, I don't know, leathery skin to a bird. Let's say, I'm just saying this because I like dragons, and what I'm trying to do is get you guys slowly to picture this so you can make and recreate dragons. Or what if we could add, say, a goat horn or a ram horn to a horse's head? Oh, look at that, we just made a unicorn. That's going to happen. You laugh, but it's going to happen because we're going to use this app that somebody here is going to create to add and manipulate DNA like with these CRISPRs, right? I mean, we've already got glowing jellyfish, we've got glowing pigs, we've got glowing mice. Who's to say you can't make a simple horn on a horse's head and start creating your own unicorns? I want to see some unicorns in the next 20 years. I think it's going to happen. Really, I think it's going to happen, right? We can do anything we want with cloning now. So you can create human ears on the side of a mouse. Who's to say you can't put a narwhal horn on a horse and make a real live unicorn? That's awesome. That's cool. That can be done, and you guys can develop the app using, again, making a game out of DNA manipulation with these CRISPRs. That's going to happen in the near future. You guys are going to develop that. Let's say we're going to use English. We're going to use words. We're going to use visual words where when you're walking around on your glasses, on your watch, something like that, we have certain words that we like to describe ourselves, right? For Tinder, swipe right or swipe left, right? But what if we could have some kind of a label through our Tinder or through our whatever app you want to use, some kind of a word to describe yourself, or when you're walking around, that shows up only to people that have this app on your phone, but it pops up above your head that says available, not available, looking, not looking, let's hook up, let's do it in the back, whatever. It's going to happen. You guys are in college. You guys are college age. It's going to happen. So that's the next version of Tinder, right? Where it's like, like it's visual. Back in my day, we had to actually work for it and actually talk to somebody before we could just swipe right or swipe left. And you guys could just swipe right or swipe left. Well, guess what's going to happen in the next generation? The words are going to be right there floating above your heads, where only somebody that has that app is going to know how crazy and how freaky you are. These are the apps that are going to be developed. And if they're not being developed, again, somebody streaming right now, use my ideas, give me credit, and give me a percentage. But this stuff is happening. This is the future. You are the future, so make it your present. These things I'm talking about, you can picture this, right? But it hasn't been developed yet, has it? This is going to happen. In any and every industry, this is going to happen. So imagine you go into the grocery store and you're looking at the fruits and you're looking at the vegetables, and again, you're trying to be healthy and you're trying to be organic. What if there was an app that, again, when you scan the UPC code, boom, it pops up and it gives you the history of where this fruit is from. Local grown. We all want locally grown fruit because we want to help out our own local community. So if you're trying to be healthy and that sort of thing, you scan that code and it says, boom, it's got a nice little visual image of the apples, of where they're picked. That might not necessarily be true, but it's going to have this nice, beautiful commercial, and it's going to make you feel good about buying this sack of apples that was, that probably shipped from LJ, Georgia. Then again, it could have come from Washington, the state Washington. We don't know, but when you scan that UPC code or when you're close to it, it's going to have that nice visual. You're going to see that, and that's going to happen in the next 10 years, right? We saw that in Minority Report with Tom Cruise, right? Where as he's walking by, he's already being recognized, even though he had somebody else's eyes. That's going to happen in grocery stores. That's going to happen in retail stores where you're going to have personal marketing. It's already taking place. Picture that future. That's your present. Figure out a way to make that app. Figure out a way to make those visuals, because that's what you're studying right now. I want you to go from being an aspiring creative to being a working creative. That's what I'm all about. Now, yes, I'm a voice actor, but I'm also a producer. I've recently, at our neighborhood studios where my wife and I work, we've recently produced our first anime in the state of Georgia. I'm very excited to be a part of this anime film where we were able to record it, and it's going to be shown in the near future. As I take my future and make that my present, I want to make sure that you're doing that as well. Yes, sir. I cannot announce the name of it yet. It's still under NDA, and you know how that goes. I'm very excited about it, though, and I'll be more than happy to talk about it probably in August. Hint, hint. All right. Anybody else have any questions? Yes, sir. All right, for my Destiny players, what can I tell you about the Iron Guard and Destiny 2? I can tell you that you're going to have a lot of fun running away from me and blowing me up. Again, just like a Shao Kahn, I used to make a lot of people rage quit. It is my personal goal to make you rage quit and just drive you into such frustration with the Iron Guard that every time you pull that trigger and you're squeezing off and you're having a good time blowing these guys up, you're going to think, yeah, I got you, Bob. So I can't really tell you much about the game yet. You know how that goes. But I can tell you that you're really going to love it. All right. Any other questions right now? Yes, sir. Oh, my best voice acting session. My best voice acting session might have been. That's a tough one. Actually, I've got a few. I loved voicing Odin in Smite. because that was also recorded here in Atlanta. Do we have any Smite players here? Awesome. Yeah, I did that with Chris Rickwood. Actually at his home. It was a great experience. It was a very nice, casual experience, and it was a lot of fun to voice that character. I mean, come on, it's Odin, right? Odin. Yes. I also loved voicing Bojack. Anybody here played Dragon Ball Z? Xenoverse? I'm Bojack as well. I loved voicing Bojack because I ended up hanging out, and you know what? I got to say Balrog, because that one I ended up going out to Santa Monica Pier with Dulcim, the guy who voiced Dulcim, and also the guy who voiced Blanca, and we had an amazing time. You know, when you're working, a lot of times as a voice actor, you work in the booth by yourself. However, because I happened to be in a place for the weekend, I was able to hang out with other creative types. And when you get around these other creative types who are just as fun and just as creative, there's this energy, there's this synergy that happens. And so we were able to hang out and play, and it was so much fun. Now, I also have to say, Balrog was also one of the toughest because, you know, when Balrog throws that 10-punch combo, you know how it's unstoppable? You know what I'm talking about? If you can chain that 10-punch combo, you are invincible. I know you're invincible because I made sure that I put every effort that I had to in my punches, right? So when you hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, that, you know how you feel that right now? Thank you. Thank you. In the game, I am very happy to say that when you throw that and you can nail that combo, right? When you can chain that combo, it's amazing. Even better is the person who's on the receiving end of that combo, because their character's getting obliterated and they feel it. They feel it. I mean, like I've seen people physically cringe from playing the video game because it impacts them psychologically. I love that. Now, I have to say that after recording Balrog like that, it blew my voice out for like 3 days. But it was totally worth it. Absolutely worth it. Any other questions? Yes, sir. Absolutely. When it comes to video games, believe it or not, it's actually slightly easier to voice for video games because you don't have to worry so much about well, you do have to worry about the timing, but not like you do when you have to match flaps in anime. Because with anime, again, well, with both, motion creates emotion. Okay, so you're acting, but you're also physically moving, right? I'm throwing punches, I'm kicking, I'm getting reactions, but I also have to match. I have to make sure that I'm matching the flaps with anime. I have to make sure that I'm emoting and giving the best dramatic expressions that I can while saying the dialogue and matching those flaps exactly. With video games, I have a little more flexibility, and also I don't really have to worry about the flaps because a lot of times they haven't been designed yet. Make sense? All right. Yes, sir. Thank you. The biggest struggle in getting into the gaming industry is who you know, right? It all happens. A lot of success in life is based on who you know, right? I was able to get into the correct circles to audition, just to audition, because of my relationships through anime. I was able to get into anime because of my relationships through improv comedy. Okay? So just like you guys, you're going to have the paper because you're going to school. You're doing what you can to make sure that you're professional. You've got a certain level of competency. Next becomes the issue of who you know. Now, Josh, you and I were speaking before this, right? And you said you were very interested in getting in with Bungie. But, of course, you submitted your resume and they just didn't give you the time of day. Look, everybody has a bubble of busy, right? You all have a bubble of busy. You've got certain things that are going on. And when you've got finals or you've got a girlfriend or you've got a wife or you've got kids, we're all at different points in our lives. That's fine. Most important thing to realize, though, we all have a bubble of busy. And until you break through somebody else's bubble of busy, they're not really going to care about your issues, your challenges, who you are as a person, or what you can bring to the table and resources until they have a need for that because they have their bubble of busy. So, for instance, right now, I'm on the air. I've got the studio. I coach. I've got a wonderful wife. I've got 3 small kids. So my free time to really communicate with people is between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. And again, between 2:30 and 4 sometimes, right? If somebody tries to contact me outside of that time, they're going to voicemail, or they're going to send me an email, and then I'll try to respond whenever I can. But when people text me, I'll usually try to respond. That's the way to get through my bubble of busy. If you're trying to submit your resume to somebody, understand they get 100 resumes a day, right? Or they get 100 demos a day. Or either way, they're constantly being bombarded. So you have to get through that bubble of busy. One of the best ways you can do that is to go somewhere where they are physically, where you can meet them, just shake hands. Typically, that's a networking meetup group, like the Georgia Game Developers Association, right? So as you're submitting resumes, and I want you guys to submit resumes here in Georgia, because we've got, just in the past, let's see, was it 10 years ago, Andrew? It was 5. 5 years ago, there were 20 studios, and this year there are I think there are 108 video game studios here in Georgia alone, all right? So the industry is booming here. It is absolutely blowing up. There are a lot of very cool, very creative people who are working and making a successful living at video games right here in Georgia. Guess what? They're all part of the Georgia Game Developers Association. So things like this, I want you to go to more things like this. In fact, I want you to go to more meetups, because it's at the meetups that you're going to meet the people who can hire you. Because if they're there and they're in the same industry that you are, well, now you have a chance to meet them, say, hey, I'm Josh, how's it going? Meet them, play some video games together, have some pizza together, meet some different people, and you're going to have that connection. Everybody here is going to have that opportunity. So when you hear things like they're going to present today, the Georgia Game Developers Association, GGDA meeting at 2:30, listen to stuff like that. Conferences like Siege, conferences like CIMFest right here today. You have the opportunity to meet up with me, and then depending on the different projects that I know about, I will forward them to you, or I'll even hire you, depending on my needs. So you've got to make sure that you put yourself out there personally as well as on paper. This is true for everybody, and it's true for everything. Yes, sir, we have another question from Mixer. Have I gotten the Destiny 2 beta? I love video games, but I can't play them anymore because I've got young kids who are 4, 5, and 6. So it is a tragedy, because if I played certain video games, right, it would be kind of scary for them. So my biggest source of creative outlet, I should say, when it comes to gaming, is now watching other people game, either on Mixer or just watching them on YouTube, that sort of thing, and watching the walkthroughs. That's how I'm able to get my gaming satisfaction right now. Until they get a little older, then I can start, right? And I can bring forward that next generation. And I'm so excited because we're almost there. Oh, it's good. Yes. All right. Gwinnett Girl wants me to tell you about a typical day at the neighborhood studio. Typical day at the neighborhood studio involves anything from being on the air, because I'm also on the air all over the Southeast. I do traffic, news, sports, that sort of thing. So most people know me as Carter. I'm actually on a cluster of stations in Myrtle Beach. I'm on in Atlanta, Power 96. I'm on Your Georgia Country, which covers all of North Georgia. So from Athens all the way up to Rome and Atlanta as well. I've even been on the air doing sports in Orlando and all of Central Florida. I've been on in Birmingham, Huntsville. I'm on the air as far as Little Rock, Arkansas. So I begin my day at 5 a.m. Between 5 a.m., I'm on the air between 5 a.m. and 10 a.m. From 11 a.m. until around 12:30, I'll coach. So when people want to get into voiceover, I coach you. If you want to learn about commercials, corporate narration, politicals, broadcasting, podcasting, voice acting for anime and video games, live announcing, we do that at the studio. We also teach on-camera auditioning techniques and acting techniques. We teach tactical training for film and television. So if anybody here wants to do stunt training work, or you want to get physical and like learn how to clear rooms and stuff like that so you can do it on TV and films, we teach at the neighborhood studios. In addition to that, I'm also, again, a working actor. So I'll spend time in the booth. Sometimes it's for something that's not as awesome and fun as a video game character, but it's still awesome because I love AstroTurf. You know why? Because they help pay the bills. So that's corporate narration. So I might record something for AstroTurf, or I might record something for McDonald's in the past. I've recorded for any number of corporate jobs, right? So like, you're a working actor, you've got to do the corporate narration, the corporate jobs. And then I'll also coach again. And then there's the fun stuff where you step into the booth. And like I said, I'll record an hour here or there for an anime movie or a video game. Now, I can't talk about that stuff right now because we're still under NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. But it's very exciting because my day-to-day is always interesting. It's always different. It's also fun because some of my students, whenever I'm coaching them, they'll book. Now, I don't promise that when I coach you that you're automatically going to book, but it is the greatest satisfaction for me to know that I'm helping my students become, actually one of those students that I coached through a random audition for chicken nuggets. Turned out that those chicken nuggets were for McDonald's, for the new hires, for the golden crispy chicken nuggets. And he was so excited to book that because they were going to pay him $500 for reading one page. And then turns out they said, hey, we've got 4 more pages for you. And then it turned out that they were going to pay him $500 for each of those pages. So I helped one of my students book a job where he got $2,500 for that. That's why you love corporate narration, right? Now, I'm also excited and proud to say that some of my other students have ended up booking video games and booking characters in certain anime and certain animated shows. They can't talk about it because they're under NDA, so that means I can't talk about it because I don't want to get them in trouble. So I'm very, very excited that, again, all these different circles and these bubbles of busy that I helped them break through, that they are now doing the things that they need to become successful, and they're touching other people, and their success is spreading. That success is contagious. And I want to have that same effect on you guys, all right? So I want you to picture your present, what you're doing right now, and I want you to focus on that. What's important now? That stands for, or actually the abbreviation of that is win. I want you guys to win. So make sure you focus on what's important now for you. Yes, video games are important. Yes, beating Shao Kahn was important. Yes, beating Balrog is important. Yes, beating the Iron Guard is important. But even more important than that are the relationships that you are forging with your friends, right? Because you're going through the thick of it. You're in the heat of that battle, in the heat of the moment. I'm also a huge fan of role-playing games because, again, I love anything that stimulates me or my creativity. I love anything that stimulates me or my imagination. So I want you to make sure that you're doing things that stimulate you or stimulate your imagination, okay? Because it's your imagination, it's your creativity, it's your passion that will make the world a better place. It's your passion that's going to drive you to create your own games like Andrew does successfully, so that he's made a career out of it, so that he's been so successful that he helped create the Georgia Game Developers Association, so that he's been so incredibly successful that he's been able to touch so many different circles that we now have 108 studios that are now touching millions of people around the world. I want your imagination, your creativity, your passion to drive that forward. The world needs you, and it needs your creativity because, again, the robots are coming, right? The robots are coming, and they're going to replace any job that is menial or any job that is average and mediocre, but it's not going to replace your creativity. It's not going to replace your imagination, your heart, your drive. Focus on that. It's a beautiful gift that we have, and I want you to make sure that you allow that to grow. Make it powerful, make it great, make it wonderful. Okay? Yes, sir. What is the secret sauce of a successful voice actor? Believe it or not, it's not the voice. It is not my voice. Now, I have a strong voice and a powerful voice, so I have a certain gift. But more importantly than the sound and the power of my voice is the fact that I take direction well. My wife would disagree, but it's the fact that I take direction well from whatever the director wants. I can give the director whatever he or she wants me to give them. That's the most important thing. Your empathy, okay? You do not have to have a great voice to be a voice talent or a voice actor. Gilbert Gottfried has the worst voice in the world, right? I mean, it's like, ah. However, he is a very successful voice actor and voice talent, right? If Gilbert Gottfried can be a successful voice talent and voice actor, you can be a successful voice talent and voice actor. The most important thing is that you're able to give the director what he or she wants, and that you're able to be empathic, that you're able to play. Because a lot of times you're going to get into the booth and they're going to ask you, this is one of my favorite ones, can you be a T-Rex? So if somebody asks you, can you be a Tyrannosaurus Rex? You say yes, right? Everybody here, nod your heads. Now everybody here, stand up. Everybody here, stand up. I'm dead serious. That's right. I'm the director, and I want you to stand up in the back row. Come on, stand up. Yes. Everybody watching on Mixer right now, I want you to stand up wherever you are. Arms in, because T-Rexes have short arms, right? Everybody, T-Rexes have short arms. Now then. Roar! Let me hear you roar. Let me hear you roar. Now let me hear you stomp. Let me hear you stomp. Roar! Don't be shy. Come on. Let me hear it. Roar! I want to hear you. Come on. Don't forget to wave the tail. Don't forget to wave that tail, right? Roar! Roar! Don't stop. I didn't say to stop yet. Keep going. On Mixer, keep going. Yes. Roar! Now, everybody stop. Yes. Now, you feel that energy, right? Suddenly it's like, whoa, this just got a lot more real, right? Motion creates emotion. Motion creates emotion, and now you're feeling it. Now you're feeling that energy. That's what it feels like when you're in the booth. It's a rush. Every time I step in the booth, every time my students step in the booth, I always tell them, that is your happy place. That is your safe place. That is your fun place, because you're having fun and or you're making money. So that's your fun, safe place. We are all about fun. Actually, we're all about safe, fun, and creative. Fun, safe, and creative spaces. And that's what we want to create. That's what I want you guys to create. Because when you're feeling safe, when you are having fun, then the creativity will flow. Some people feel too self-conscious to really give in. But guess what? The ones that are playing, when you are playing like that, it leads to so much more success. When you say, yes, and let's have a good time. Yes, sir. Velociraptors sound higher. Right? All right. Yes, absolutely. Honestly, you have to stay on the websites. You got to read, right? You've got to feed your mind. Feed your mind. Absolutely. What do you do to stay fresh in an industry that keeps changing? What do you do to keep up in an industry that keeps changing? You have to keep feeding your mind. You have to keep taking in new information. So that means you have to be aware of what the next big thing is, which means um, staying up on the fun trends, whether it's IO9, whether it's Gizmodo, whether it's what? What did you say? What was the website that you went to? All right, think about this. What 5 websites are you guys going to on a daily basis? Say it again. Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Really? Instagram? That's the next big thing? That's where you're learning something? Okay, all right. Twitter, IMDb, Google. Yes, Google News. Certainly. You also need to make sure that you're staying up on the professional sites too, right? Because again, now here's something that's interesting. Samsung, AT&T, who are these other ones that are really big behind this? They're big on, again, pushing virtual reality and augmented reality. The developers themselves are looking for content providers. So they're looking for people who were willing to make video games for their series, or people who are looking to make certain things. So like for the three-dimensional stuff that I was talking about, they're already filming that right now. If you go to Samsung's website and you like start clicking in through their VR stuff, they're looking right now for submissions for different television shows, for video games, for all these things. So as far as where I go in terms of trying to stay fresh and keep up in an industry that's constantly changing, on a daily basis, yes, Twitter. I actually love Twitter for the moments because you get to see what's going on. I also go to fark.com, Fark.com, because the world can be a terrible place, and so we need to look at it through a fun, sarcastic, hilarious perspective. And there are some fun, sarcastic people who will post links to news events all over the world, good, bad, scary, Florida, right? You know, like the craziest stuff happens in Florida, so it gets its own tag. I go to Popular Mechanics, Popular Science, IO9. What else do I hit on a normal daily basis? I'm a nerd, so I also go to Wizards website, the D&D sites. I'm an RPG nerd. Fantasy Flight Games. Let's see, the ggda.org page, the Georgia Production Partnership page, because I also like the movie news. I go to the business journals. You can't just go to like the newspapers, the local newspapers. You have to go to the business journal so you can see something that's actually happened professionally for professionals. Let's see, where else do I go to for sources of information? Honestly, conventions as well. You've got to make sure that you're going to conventions. You can't just get bogged down by the day-to-day because you've got to make sure that you are still trying to keep a big picture in mind. That's something I want everybody to think about as well. I try to have an ongoing marketing plan. It's like a to-do list, but I break it up. 24 hours, 1 week, 1 month, and 90 days, as in 3 months, right? So remember what's important now, right? If you want to win, okay? And here's another formula for you. Success equals motivation times discipline. S equals M times D. So on that sheet of paper or on your website, your Excel sheet on Google Drive, right? Label it W.I.N. What's important now? And under that 24-hour space, what are you going to do in the next 24 hours to help yourself be more successful? What are you going to do over the next week? What are you going to do over the next month? What are you going to do over the next 90 days? So when you keep that picture in mind, as long as you're working towards that, you're not going to always nail everything that you're doing, but that will help kind of keep you on task. And believe me, I have ADD, and thankfully I have an amazing wife who's an incredible closer and who helps me stay on track. But by making sure that you have that kind of loose marketing plan of what you're doing, 24 hours, 1 week, 1 month, 90 days, that helps me make sure that I'm moving forward. And so, for instance, with the neighborhood, over the next 24 hours, I'm probably going to meet a lot of you guys, and I'm probably going to start helping you and coaching you. I'm also going to continue following up. I'm going to make sure I stay for the GGDA meeting, because every time I've gone to a GGDA meeting, I've gotten business out of it. It's been fantastic. Over the next week, I plan on implementing the things that I've learned here today, and I'm going to do certain things that are going to put me on that path of whatever it is that I need to accomplish. Over the next month, I'm going to start promoting the fact that I was in this amazing anime and I was in this amazing video game that I can finally start talking about, and I'm really excited about it. And then over the next 3 months, I'm going to make sure that I start looking for the next project, the next big project for 2018. So that's my personal what's important now marketing plan. Make sense? I want you guys to do that as well, right? So when you're at lunch, I want you guys to hold everybody that came here in a group or at least 2 people. I want you to make sure you talk about that at lunch and just write it down on a napkin. It doesn't have to be fancy. For everybody here that just came alone, that's fine. Just text it to yourself. Text it so that it emails yourself. Or better yet, text it to somebody that's going to help hold you accountable in a good way. Okay? I want to make sure that I motivate you, that I educate you, but that I also empower you. Make you feel good so that you can move forward to accomplish your goals. We have any other questions? Yes, sir. Absolutely. The question is, what's the fastest way that I can help my voice recover? Warm tea, number one. because I do anime and because I do video games, a lot of times people will tell you, don't talk, don't yell, don't cheer, that sort of thing. No, man, this is a muscle. You need to roar. You need to unleash. You need to feel powerful. Because the more you do that, the more you're going to freak people out around you who have no idea why you're doing this. Right? But the stronger you're going to make your voice. Warm tea and honey, pure honey. And then there's also this Vietnamese, like, crazy cough syrup thing that really works well. And we use it a lot. I wish I could remember the name of it. I've got a picture of it, and I'll share it with you guys later on. I'll post a picture of it or something like that. But in all seriousness, you need to work your voice out. Have fun, right? So go to Six Flags, cheer, roar. Don't do that the day before your session, but you can do it the week before your session. So you guys are young. You're going to have a good time. Go to concerts. Let loose. Have a good time. Most of the time, you're told to hold it in, hold it back. No, I want you to unleash, right? Make the world feel your presence. I mean, when's the last time you got to say that out loud? Everybody repeat it with me. Make the world feel your presence. Now say it louder. Bounce it off this wall. Make the world feel your presence. That's much better. That feels good, doesn't it? That feels good. Now, stand up. Stand up and do it. We're going to do it on the count of 3. Everybody on Mixer, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Make the world feel your presence. Again, feels good. Feels good. All right, next question. What games do I most like playing in? The games I like playing in, Mortal Kombat, absolutely hands down, and Street Fighter and Odin. Smite. Obviously, I always play Odin. I always play Balrog, and then I played Baraka in Mortal Kombat a lot. So those are my games that I absolutely love playing. Now, as far as the games that I'm playing now, I'm mostly an RPG guy. As a matter of fact, I'm an RPG addict. I currently run a D&D 5th edition campaign that's weekly, Monday nights, and actually we're going to start streaming it in partnership with the GGDA, Monday nights from 7 to 11. I also run a monthly superheroes campaign based on Palladium Games, Heroes Unlimited, and I'm actually going to play that tonight. So when I leave here tonight, I've got a good plan based on some fun, actually a really good story, parahuman.wordpress.com. It's an amazing online novel that it's Game of Thrones length. I was totally shocked. Starts off where you would think it's like some kind of a young adult fan fiction about this 16-year-old girl who's being bullied. And I'm like, come on, really? And it totally got me hooked. And it's based on superheroes. So parahumans.wordpress.com. Check it out. I promise you will not be disappointed. A lot of times people, when they hear me, they definitely give me a strange look like they know me, but they don't know where they know me from. So that's always interesting. Now, when I go to Dragon Con, because I'm also a huge Dragon Con fan, I love conventions and things like that, because I am loud. Typically when I laugh, people will recognize my laugh, because believe it or not, the Shao Kahn laugh is my laugh. Right? I mean, that's, or it might be more like, but that's also when I'm laughing at somebody because they did something stupid. So, I mean, it is. So, people will recognize me through my voice, but honestly, I'm kind of hard to forget. Once you've seen me and in person, that sort of thing, you're going to remember me. And I want you guys to come up and say, "Hey, Bob, I saw you at CIMFest, and you were awesome." Make sure you say that. Any other questions? All right, I'm going to get back on track because I, again, have ADD. All right, let's see. I want to make sure I'm covering certain things that I think are really important for you guys. So when it comes to your education, we talked about learning by playing, right? I want you guys to be as creative as you possibly can. So, story. Story is the most important thing. When I run a game, I have 3 rules. Number 1, first rule, we're going to have fun. We're all getting together because we want to have fun. So anytime you go to a different meetup group and organization, things like that, make sure it's fun. Everybody's going to be there because they want to have fun. If it's not fun, they're probably not going to go out of their way again to come back. So always make sure that it's fun. Number 2, story is the most important thing. When I run a campaign, it's not about the numbers. It's not about your ads or your attributes. It's not about your stats. It's not about your powers and things like that. It's the story. What's the most important thing about the story? So when you are playing in a game, try to focus on the story because you're going to remember it more than if you're just doing a button masher and it's like, yeah, this was fun and we blew stuff up, but it's forgettable, right? But again, if you're doing Street Fighter, that story mode is impressive. If you're doing any game that you are creating, I want to make sure that you have some kind of interesting hook in it so that the story is compelling. All right? Because people will remember the story. They're going to forget a lot of the details, but they'll remember the story. So whatever games I'm playing, I try to focus on the story. Whatever games you're playing or you're creating, I want you to make sure that you focus on the story. It's very important. Okay? Your story is going to have a longer lasting effect and impact on anything that you create and drive. So, what is your story? How is it different from everybody else's? And then make sure that you can make the most effective story and the most memorable story. Okay? All right. Let's see. This is courtesy of my wife. Please try not to lose your soul in the search for money. It is a great idea. A lot of times we have to pay those bills, right? And we focus entirely on paying the bills, on making sure that the utilities don't get cut off, on making sure that we've got enough money to get that house, the big house, the yard, to make sure that we've got, or actually, because again, we're in a somewhat volatile time period, just so that we can get a job. So we take any job, but at the same time, that becomes a soul-sucking job. But then you start making money, and it's that balance of money versus creativity and money versus freedom and money versus time. Well, believe it or not, with what you're here for today, you can have both. I want you guys, again, pursue your passions, pursue your creativity, pursue the things that drive your creative imagination, because your bliss is going to be what will really take your success to the next level. I love being a voice actor. I love it. It is so much fun, literally, to step into the booth and, again, roar, say crazy dialogue, be different characters from one moment to the next. At one point I'm a space deer, at another I'm a cross-dressing bank robber, at another I'm a cute little cat that can transform into a tiger. There are any number of things that I can be in the booth. I love being a voice actor. I absolutely love it. More importantly, I love sharing that with other people, giving them that gift, right? Firing off their imagination to help them be whatever they want to be. I love helping people be able to pursue their bliss. And I want to make sure that you always remember, pursue your bliss. It's food, it's meat and drink for your soul. Yes, sir. Un poquito en español, porque mi entiendo más que puedo hablar. But you got to make sure. The question was, in addition, when I'm voice acting, do I speak in any other languages? I used to be fluent in Spanish, but it comes back to me, and I imagine if I went down to Mexico or any kind of Latin country, I could pick it up. I can still always understand it. I've been very fortunate to always have a diverse background and a diverse group of friends and family. I am multicultural myself, so I'm mixed, black, white, Cherokee, and I'm very blessed in that I've always had a great appreciation for many different cultures. And I absolutely want to encourage you guys because, believe it or not, the industry is now global, right? I've done a video game. Actually, I want to call it Naval Battle Commander. I've done a video game where I recorded in Atlanta. My audio engineer, the sound designer, was in Sydney, Australia, and the video game company was in Vancouver. That was crazy. That was absolutely crazy. When I recorded Street Fighter, as a matter of fact, sometimes, I was in LA, and the guys from Capcom, they were in Tokyo. right? So the industry now is global. As you guys pursue your careers, realize you're competing now not just against people in Atlanta and Florida and the West Coast and in the Midwest. You're competing against South Korea. You're competing against Australia, China, now the Russians, because the Russian trolls are into everything, right? But they don't have your creativity. They don't have your imagination, right? So make sure that you feed that. I've got the fastest imagination in the West and now in the East as well. So I guess you could say I've got the fastest imagination in the country. I want you guys to have the next fastest imagination. I want you guys challenging me, right? That's what you want. So yes, if you can speak other languages, that's a wonderful thing because voiceover is global. At any point during the day, somebody needs voiceover. And believe it or not, they need English speaking voiceover. So when you get up at 6 a.m., remember it's 11 a.m. in England, it's 12 in on the east side of Germany, right? It's 6 p.m. in Japan, right? It's a day and a half ahead is Sydney, Australia. So at any given moment during the day, somebody has need of voiceover because it is a global industry. So that's voiceover. That's also video games because when you guys are developing your apps, part of the reason of the success here in Georgia, when you guys are developing your apps, you're going to, believe it or not, upload that and it's going to go global. So if you develop some kind of a, let's say, Candy Crush, Angry Birds, random, simple, silly game that charges 99 cents, and let's say 100,000 people around the world buy that game. Well, congratulations, you just made $100,000 from 100,000 people all over the world out of 7 billion people on this planet. That happens. So that's why you have these smaller independent studios that are popping up now because you can make a simple app, you can make a simple game, you can get it discovered. You can make it for free, and then you can get all those add-ons after that, right? That's what Candy Crush did, and now they're making billions, hundreds of millions of dollars, I should say. Any other questions? All right, let's talk about, yes, sir. Ooh, what is the weirdest line of dialogue that I've ever had to do? I've had to do some crazy dialogue. Again, when you're a villain, you have a lot of crazy dialogue. Let's see. One of the craziest, I was a pair of twins, and they only said one thing. Nobu. Nobu? Nobu! So I had to be as expressive as possible, just saying, Nobu. 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 Nobu! Another crazy line of dialogue. This is one of my favorites. All right, let's see if I can say this. Fear me, mortals, for I am the light and the darkness. Behold, the herald of Deathwing! Now, I want you guys to repeat that later on, because that is the coolest thing you're going to say all day long. That is the coolest thing you will say all day long. Preferably, I want you to say it when you're in the drive-thru and you're going through and you're ordering your food. All right, I want you to get a voice. I want you to get a character voice. Wait until after they've given you food. All right? Wait until, again, you're about to, after you've paid and they give you your food, say thank you. And now I am the light and the darkness. Yeah, and then drive off. Any other questions? All right. Let's talk about. Oh, yes, sir. I did. Wow, you looked at my IMDb. Okay. I did. I'm Sig. Yes, absolutely. There are always, I'm not going to call them issues, but there are always challenges. And so you've got to make sure that you've got a good translator. That's where knowledge and mastery of language and communication is very important, right? Fortunately, we have many different, very experienced translators and interpreters. And also, I got to say, one thing that Funimation does incredibly well, sound. Most people don't realize how important sound is in a movie and also in a video game. So make sure you guys, as you're developing your games, make sure you focus on sound. It is 60% of, and I'd say 60, more than 50, even more than the visuals, 60% of a good video game. Because even playing on a small smartphone, on a cell phone, when you put the headphones in, you've got an amazing, incredible sound that goes along with whatever the game is that you're playing. It could be a very simple game visually, but when you have that quality sound and you've got crazy effects or you've got certain sound effects and you've got some good dialogue going, that sticks with people, you know? It could be something that's very simple. Angry Birds, for instance, right? I mean, you've got the physics engine, but it's when the pigs, right? That's the thing that catches you, and it's like, oh, stupid pigs, right? Right? So it's this simple little guttural that drives you crazy, and you're like, all right, I gotta get this. All right, it's the little wee, you know, like in the like from a boomerang bird or any of the different types of birds. So it's just something as simple as those sound effects in the game that you develop. Doesn't have to be elaborate. It just has to be something very, very small, but it makes a difference and it takes your game to the next level. Now, of course, in a AAA game, when you've got millions of dollars and you've got amazing, incredible effects and things like that and visuals, you still want to have good sounds, right? And I don't want to say anything or take anything away from some games, but then they don't have good voice acting to back it up. And it's like, man, this visual is amazing. And then this is the voice acting you got. You know, somebody that doesn't have that experience. Somebody that, you know what I mean? Where they need to be more expressive than they are. They need to be more polished and they need to sound a little more intense than they just deliver the line very nice and flat. And that's frustrating. So sound is extremely important in games and in film too. All right. Any other questions? All right, let's see here. Another thing I want to talk to you guys about, I guess we can talk about, the changing industry and the applications, because I see a lot of young people and I see some fun, experienced people, and I want to make sure that you guys always remember, share, share, share. Share the things that you're doing with your family, right? Listen, man, nobody cares about your business like you and your mom. And most of the time, your mom can't help you market, but they do believe in you and they are very supportive of you, and they will do whatever they can to help you succeed. Now, if you're of old enough age that you've got a serious boyfriend or girlfriend, share. They believe in you enough to hang out with you. They believe in you enough to want to spend time with you, right? So sometimes instead of going to the movies or instead of going shopping or instead of hanging out, you guys need to work together to help you accomplish your goals. It doesn't take a lot of work, but if you've got that marketing to-do list, guess what? That marketing to-do list can be fun, and it should be fun. If you know that you need to go to a GGDA meeting in Atlanta, for instance, on Tuesday, August 8th, because it's going to be, is it August 8th? Right? That's the next meetup, and it's at 22 Tech Park, right? So if you know that there's going to be a meetup in Atlanta at 22 Tech Park, which is this new studio that's looking for other studios to come in, and they're looking for talent, they're looking for creators, then you need to make a road trip and you need to be there between 6 and 9 p.m. So that means you need to ask your friends in advance right now and say, hey, what are you doing Tuesday, August 8th? And it doesn't matter whatever industry or background they have. They're going to say, why? What's going on? Well, there's this meeting I need to be at, and it'd be a lot of fun to go check out. They're going to go. They're going to plan their day around going, and that way you won't get too nervous, and you'll back out, right? We also have to deal with our own social anxiety, right? We all have it. We all have that mental junk that causes us to second guess ourselves. I have it too. Everybody has it, right? You all have it. We all have that mental junk. I'm a terrible procrastinator. I'm terrible at the follow-up and follow-through. I've gotten better at it over the years, but it's something that I really had to work on. So you know what your own challenges are. Make sure that you overcome them by sharing with people around you who care about you. And then make sure that you share what it is that's important to you so that they'll help you accomplish that goal. You're 10 times more likely to accomplish a goal if you write it down, and you're 10 times more likely than that if you share it with somebody so that they can help hold you accountable to it. And the fact that you guys are the All-American String Team, you guys can go up as a group, right? Road trip, make it fun, right? So you've got your groups. Make sure you share in those circles and make it fun. Yes, you're going to be marketing, but that just means that you get to write off the whole fun trip. Okay? So you got to share. Make sure you share what's important to you with people around you who care about you. And then they can help you. They will help you because we all like to help people. And especially now where the world just seems like it's gotten crueler, more mean, right? Where things have gotten more polarized. It's so much more important, especially right now, to share, to give time, to give our awareness, and to knock stuff like that. Knock down those walls. Knock down those walls. Yes, Joe. Knock down those walls and build more bridges and share. Yes, sir. Ha! Raphael, thank you very much. Do I see in the future that voice acting will be recognized by the Oscars? I believe it could. I absolutely believe it can. I think it's extremely important. And notice more and more animated films are coming out. And in fact, more and more animated films will be coming out as technology drops in price, as it becomes more accessible, as it becomes easier. Absolutely, there will become a category for voice acting. And believe it or not, you can also tell when you've got an experienced voice actor versus an inexperienced voice actor, right? It diminishes the movie when somebody has that flat voice because they're used to getting by on their face and on their looks as opposed to their personality. Next question. Yes? Okay. In that case, I want everybody to realize I want you to share what you believe in. I want you to share what you want to accomplish. And I want you to share what's important to you. I want you to share that with, again, the people who are important to you. And it's important to let them know that they're important to you and that you want to share this with them because you want them to help you succeed, right? I said it before, success equals motivation times discipline. S equals M times D. When your motivation is high, there's a high likelihood of you being successful. But a week passes and suddenly that motivation drops. That's where it's important to have discipline right there to hold you consistent so that you're doing the things that you need to do to be successful. You got to have those certain habits that are in place to continue to be successful. Okay? You got to have certain habits to be a highly successful person. 7 of them, in fact. So make sure you're doing those. Make sure those habits are incorporated in your life. But again, voice acting has been my passion and my bliss. But there is so much more in store for you guys because it's all about creativity and it's all about the future. So I want you focused on everything that you're doing in your day-to-day, right? How can I add something in order to augment this reality? Because that's going to happen. And I want you to be a part of it because it's going to happen not off in some far distant future, but like in the next 5 years, the next 48 days in some instances. Okay? All right. Again, my name is Bob Carter. I would love to be a resource for you. Thank you very, very much for your time.